Hey everyone, welcome to Finance with Averin, where I get into all things personal finance, high yield deposit accounts, investing, and making your money work harder for you. In this video, I'm getting into something that's been all over the news lately, Doge stimulus checks. Yep, you heard it right. Checks that could potentially land thousands of dollars in your pocket, tied to something called the Department of Government Efficiency, or Doge, better yet known. A lot of y'all, of course, associate Doge with the meme coin Doge, but this is separate from the meme coin Doge. Is this real? Could it affect your financial plans? Stick around because I'm going to break down the latest data, what it means for your money, and a few smart moves you can make either way. Let's get into it. So, what is this Doge thing all about? Doge stands for Department of Government Efficiency, a new initiative aimed at slashing federal spending. Now, what's been one of the main goals of this department? It is said to be to save $2 trillion over time by cutting waste and inefficiencies. As of February 20th, 2025, the department is claiming that they have saved $55 billion already. Think canceled contracts and trimmed agency budgets and so forth. That's about $360 per taxpayer if you spread it across roughly 153 million who filed taxes last year. Not huge, but it's a start because you see that's of a savings of $55 billion, roughly around that much, for that $360 per taxpayer, roughly, with, considering who filed taxes last year. This is all just kind of, not definite. This is just some kind of, math a little bit here. Work with me. And so 55 billion of 2 trillion, of course, $55 billion is a lot, but in the terms of 2 trillion, yeah, there's still a ways to go. Still a lot more money that could possibly be saved and possibly be turned into stimulus checks. Now, there's a proposal floating around called the Doge Dividend, which the idea of that is to take 20% of those savings, potentially $400 billion, if they hit that $2 trillion target, and send it back to taxpayers as checks. You crunch the numbers and everything, that's about $5,000 per tax-paying household, based on an estimated 79 million households. Some spaces and outlets on the internet are even throwing around $8,000. So you may have seen like different amounts floating around based on different components of the math, how much is being saved, how many taxpayers would be eligible, households, things like that. Nothing's for sure right now with these numbers. And of course, even if it's going to happen, which we'll get more into that. Now, before you start budgeting for that $5,000 and saying, okay, where am I going to put that in the market? I'm going to pay this off, put some in savings, everything like that. Hold on. Let me put the brakes on a little bit. First off, that $2 trillion of savings goal is massive. Experts are skeptical if it's even possible. The $55 billion saved so far is legit progress. But scaling that to $2 trillion, it's going to be a long shot. Definitely going to take some more work. But at the speed that this is going right now, as far as how much has been saved, we'll see for sure. Now, getting to that $2 trillion would mean slashing huge chunks of federal programs. Now, another thing, if they pull this off, turning savings into checks, it isn't that simple, of course. Congress has to approve it. And lawmakers are already debating what to do with any savings. Pay down the $34 trillion national debt, fund tax cuts, or maybe something else. Plus, there's timing. The proposal says checks might not hit until July 2026, when Doge's mission wraps up. So this isn't cash likely hitting your account in the next month or so. Now, there's another angle because there's pros and cons of everything. There's critics on both sides. Some people, of course, are basing it on the data and the facts. Some people are going to base it on whether or not they like Elon Musk or President Trump, something like that. Me personally, this is not a political channel, so this is not like pro or against any side of the political spectrum or anything like that. This is personal finance on this channel. No skewing this way, biasness, none of that. Anyways, so I definitely want to say that just so people know for sure where I stand on that. In case you're wondering, is this video going to lean a certain way? Am I going to? No, this is not going anything like that. So anyways, some economists are warning that if this did happen, there could be a spike in inflation, like we saw with the COVID stimulus checks. And then back in 2022, the St. Louis Fed estimated those payments added 2.6 points to the 7.9% inflation rate. Now, there are other people that are arguing that this time it will be different since it's not new debt, it's just redistributing savings. Either way, right now, it's a big if this is going to happen, whether or not. There's definitely data and signs on both sides saying, yeah, this could definitely happen. And also, no, this is probably not going to happen. So something that's interesting as well and leading to the possibility of this happening is that President Trump is supporting this Doge Dividend stimulus check. At a speech in Miami on Wednesday, February 19th, 2025, Trump said his administration is considering a plan to give 20% of Doge savings back to the public. And also stating the numbers are incredible. incredible. Elon, so many millions, billions, hundreds of billions. Now, this wouldn't be the first time that Trump has embraced the idea of direct payments to Americans. Remember the stimulus checks during the COVID-19 pandemic? Trump was for those. And this article is saying that he even insisted his name appear on stimulus checks. And with the names on the checks, they're stating on this article that former President Biden didn't follow Trump's lead and came to regret it, saying it was stupid not to put his name on stimulus checks. So yeah, there is support and backing from President Trump, which of course is very important and kind of making me think this is a possibility of actually happening. The number exactly, not sure, but the possibility of U.S. taxpayers that are eligible receiving a Doge Dividend stimulus check. Right now, I'm thinking there's like a 60% chance. Like I'm leaning more towards this possibly happening than it not happening. Now, so I'm not going to say for sure, Finance with Avery is not saying this is definitely happening. Expect this in 2026, something like that. But I'm kind of thinking like, yeah, this may happen if the savings continue. Like, if the billions of dollars of savings that Doge is doing continues without a lot of pushback, and Congress eventually will get more on board with this as well if they see, a lot of that saving, maybe there'll be some kind of negotiation of it. And considering that they're already saying there's going to be 20% of the total savings, if they save that $2 trillion, they're not saying they're going to give all that $2 trillion back out to Americans. They're saying like 20%. So, that's already saying like, look, we're saving all this money and we're just going to give some of it back to the American people. Not all of it, some of it's going to go elsewhere, some of it. So that's another reason why I'm thinking like this likely could definitely happen, because they're not saying like, okay, all of this has to go back, because you'll get more pushback from Congress if you say that. If you kind of say like, okay, look, this much is going to go back. A lot of people in Congress may be like, oh yeah, I want to be part of that, because, they want to get reelected as well. And they want to be like, yeah, hey, I was that congressman that signed, that agreed to putting that money into your pocket, into your bank account, All right. So what could this $5,000 mean for you? Let's dream a little. Let's think about the future a little bit. What if you got a $5,000 Doge check in 2026? Here's some data that may be interesting to you about what to do with that $5,000. Maybe you're thinking about it like, okay, that'd be great to have, but I don't know what I would do with it. What should I do with it? And this isn't financial advice or anything, just some potential that $5,000 could be used for. So a high yield savings account. You could pop that $5,000 into a high yield account, let's say at like 4.5% APY. And in a year, that's interest of about $225. With no effort, just passive income, just letting it sit there. I make videos every other month on the top 10 savings accounts ranked by APY. I'll leave a link to that playlist down in the description if you want to check that out. You can see a range of what's available out there from various financial institutions. A certificate of deposit account, CD accounts. I make videos on those as well every other month. Top 5 CD accounts ranked by APY. So yeah, that's a possibility. Also, there's investing. You could throw that $5,000 into an S&P 500 index fund. Historically, that averages like 7 to 10% in annual returns after inflation. So after 5 years, that $5,000 could grow to like $7,000 to $8,000, assuming the market cooperates with, historical averages, which, of course you have the really great years and you have some years that aren't that good. Lately the market's just really been on the roar overall. Like, yeah, we've had some rough days here and there, but you just zoom out and look at the charts of the S&P 5,000. Look at that. Like, wow. Do zoom out of the Dow. Look at that. The NASDAQ. Look at that. So yeah, lately, definitely the market has been really going up. So $5,000 in an index fund, tracking the S&P, the NASDAQ, that would have done really well in the past 5 years for sure. Also, there's another option that many people may do with that $5,000. If you got a credit card at 20% interest, paying $5,000 off of that saves you about $1,000 a year in interest alone. That's a huge win right there. Now, this isn't financial advice, but $5,000, before I would add that to a savings or investing or anything like that, if I had some kind of debt out there that has a high rate on it, like credit card debt, with APRs around that 20% amount, things like that, definitely I would pay towards that first, either paying that off or paying towards it or something with that $5,000 before I would even think about throwing it into a savings account making around 4% APY, or investing it making around 7 to 10% in ETF, or maybe even more. Sometimes my accounts with my individual stocks that I pick do better than the market for sure. But, it would be tempting for me not to throw some of that $5,000 at, Microsoft stock, Meta stock, Target stock, Pepsi stock, NextEra Energy, SoFi stock, Amazon stock. There's several stocks that I would like to throw $5,000 towards for sure. However, if I had some kind of high rate debt out there, definitely would tackle that first. That's the smarter money move. But here's a flip side with that $5,000. If inflation ticks up because of these checks, your purchasing power could take a hit. So that $5,000 may not stretch as far in 2026. So whether this happens or not, the smart move is to have a plan for unexpected cash. You don't want to be too certain about something that may not actually happen, but then just having an idea in your head of what would you do with it is a good start. It'll help you if it actually happens. You'll be already set, have the wheels in motion to move forward with that. So what should you do now? Should you bank on this Doge check actually happening? Honestly, not yet. It's too early to count on for sure. It's got a lot of buzz going on though, so that's great. And it's a good reminder to stay proactive with your finances. So right now, what you can kind of do, and I'm not gonna say to wait on this Doge stimulus check, but just what you could just do for your finances. You could boost your emergency fund. If saving rates dip later this year, like some predict, and I've been showing you on my ranking videos how rates and APYs have been coming down. That's been a trend, some more than others at different financial institutions, but definitely there's a trend of high yields coming down. So locking in a high yield now at 4 to 5% could be a great idea with a certificate of deposit account, CD account. Possibly could be a good time to boost your emergency fund by locking in a higher rate. And there's also ways to boost your personal finances right now with $100 here, a couple $100 there, and so forth with bank bonuses and referrals. I'll leave a link to my playlist on those in the description of the video. For sure, there are ways to boost your personal finances with hundreds of dollars right now currently that could add up to thousands of dollars for sure. So that is definitely a possibility. You can make your own stimulus check with bank bonuses and referrals. Definitely check out the playlist on that for more info. Now, another thing you could do is keep investing, invest smarter, dollar cost average into the market now. So you're not scrambling if extra cash shows up later. If you just continuously dollar cost average in the market, just continuously putting in a certain amount into the stock market, whether that be just ETFs, just index funds, or individual stocks as well, a mix of them, however you want to do it. For sure, dollar cost averaging into the market has historically been a great thing on average. And, so if Doge keeps racking up the savings and this starts to look even more likely to happen, I'll definitely make another video on it with the latest information, keeping you all up to date. Now, this isn't about hoping for a handout. It's about being ready for whatever comes. And that's financial literacy in action. And that's it with the video right there on the Doge stimulus checks. A wild idea with big potential, but still a question mark. So what do you think? Would you save, invest, or spend that $5,000? Drop a comment down below if you'd like. If you like this breakdown, be sure to give a thumbs up and share it with friends and family. Thank you all for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's keep growing our money together. Take care.